Good morning, or depending on when you're listening to this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today you're listening to LorcanaCast.
And I won't stop until I start to stand out.
All right, everybody, we are here with LorcanaCast and a very special guest who is joining us, Ross, aka the Wossy, who does all kinds of amazing content that we've been fans of for years, is joining us on the show to talk a little bit about himself, his history with trading card games, his experience with YouTube, being a content creator, and of course, Lorcana. So how are you doing tonight?
Hello. I mean, I'm not sure if very special is particularly appropriate, but I'm doing pretty good. We've worked out the time difference. My kids are vaguely asleep, so yeah, all good.
So for people who don't know anything about you whatsoever, why don't you plug yourself, plug your channel, and tell us a little bit about who you are?
So basically, my main thing is Pokemon TCG. That's a big one that pays the bills. So it's PTCG Radio, Pokemon Trading Card Game Radio, where I basically just cover every facet of the Pokemon TCG, playing, collecting, just any news, anything to do with Pokemon, I am absolutely there. And then a few years ago, I uploaded a little package of Mario Kart clips from a stream I'd done, and I lost like 20 subscribers almost instantly. And that was a really good sign that people on that channel had absolutely no interest in anything that wasn't Pokemon. So I started Wossy Plays, fumbled around for a little bit, and then I kind of discovered that Wossy Plays was really for other card games. So it started off with Keyforge and Transformers, and I've done Marvel Champions on there. I covered Digimon heavily for a while. At the moment, it's largely One Piece. One Piece is a big game on there, but Lorcana is something I've been covering since the day it was announced. Star Wars Unlimited is another one that's coming next year. I'm very excited about. And that's what I've been covering since the inception. And there's still, some other games I throw out there as well. I've done some companies that started working with me and being very nice to me lately. So I've done some stuff with Vice Schwartz, which was awesome. Jasco Games for My Hero Academia have been very nice to me lately. And I love My Hero Academia, so that's been awesome. And yeah, kind of on my own back, I've dabbled a little bit in Union Arena, which is a Japan-only game for the moment, but one they're doing really fun things with. And I just, like, when you're a kid, people are like, when you grow up, you're going to find that thing that you're the best at. You're going to find that thing that, like, is your reason for being here. And it turned out for me that was talking about card games, which I didn't see coming as a child. But honestly, I kind of like.
It's a pretty magical kind of experience because we get to talk about the things that we love. We get to interact with people in multitudes of different communities. And it's just really exciting because anytime there's a new set, there's a new shift in the meta, there's a new product available, it's like adding fuel to the fire. It's like, oh, we get to talk about this. Yes, let's go.
Oh, card games. I should say my other channel is Wossy Plays. I never actually said that. My second channel is Wossy Plays, and very deliberately put as a very kind of open name that means I can cover whatever game I want and we're all good. PTCG Radio was way too specific towards Pokemon. Wossy Plays is just, look, it's me. If I want to upload me playing a guitar, Wossy plays a guitar. I'm good. I can do whatever I want on that channel. But it is surreal sometimes. Like, if I spend too long thinking about what I do nowadays, it weirds me out because I get an email from Jasco Games just being like, hey, we're launching a new set. Do you want to send you some boxes to open? And then FFG get in touch and they're like, hey, Star Wars Unlimited is happening. Do you want to reveal a card? And it's just, these are things which are so ridiculously exciting to me. And like, my emails become this source of joy in my life because I've got my email, which I just use for work. And almost every email that comes in is just like I got an email today. I can't tell you what it was, but it was ridiculously exciting. Hopefully this week or next week, I'll send a tweet out and it'll be obvious what it was. But this is weird stuff that just didn't, a couple of years ago. I mean, if we go back to 2015, 2016, before this all really kicked off for me, I was just a very ordinary, everyday, run-of-the-mill teacher. And I think I was very good at teaching. And I've got lots of like actual statistics to prove I did a pretty good job. But I was just kind of, I woke up and I went to school and then I came home and I did a bit of marking and a bit of lesson planning. And it was a very standard teacher's day-to-day life. And now it's morphed into this really bizarre thing. And I'm absolutely loving it. But to go back to what you said about card games, like the thing that card games have that, you know, even things like video games don't, is we have that constant news cycle. And because I cover so many different games, like most days, something I'm excited about, I learn about for the first time. A new game's announced, a new set's announced, a new card's revealed, a new piece of news. You know, just today, I did a video for Pokemon about the fact that it looks like the McDonald's promotion is ramping up this year. Austria have teased, Austrian McDonald's have teased that there is a Pokemon promotion coming, but McDonald's only do TCG stuff, so it's almost certainly TCG. And like, that's something cool worth getting excited about. And like every day, there's just cool stuff coming out for some game or other. And it's just, you know, Lorcana have had new cards like pretty much every day for a couple of weeks now. Has been a constant cycle of new Lorcana cards. And this stuff's all just really exciting on a literally day-to-day basis.
Oh, yeah. It's fascinating because, I mean, we've both been in card games for a long time. When was the last trading card game you can remember that was about to be readily available that didn't have the entire set revealed? Other than like back in the days before the internet, I don't really remember a major company not having the full reveal readily available for anyone.
Oh, I mean, it's an awkward. I mean, the thing is, a lot of the games I cover originate in Japan. So by the time we get them, it's all been spoiled. There was a really cool thing, and it's not really the question you asked, but it's a fun story. Is VMAX Climax, a Pokemon set. There were a lot of secret, what we call the character rares.
Yes.
And they weren't all shown off in advance. And I had a very good friend, the lovely Antoine Boulet, who picked up a box from what we call the Magic Combini, the Magic Convenience Store in Nagoya in Japan. And they managed to go and get a box at midnight on release. So this was like 4 p.m. Thursday our time.
Oh.
And we did a thing. We did it a few times back when they were still living in Japan. And they would do the box opening, and they would be the hands, and I would be the voice. So they would kind of stream it to me, and then I would, you know, record a video where they were doing the opening, and I was chatting through it. And there was some secret rares that were opened in those packs that I had never seen before, that no one had seen before, because they hadn't been revealed. And no images of these had kind of leaked out onto the internet. And I was seeing these cards for the very first time as my packs were being opened. And I didn't have them in hand, but it was still, because that's like the dream. And it's not going to happen, unfortunately. But what I really want is I want to get a Pokemon box or a One Piece box or a Lorcana box delivered to my door. And I open those packs and I've never seen any of those cards before. And I can't do what I do and ignore the card reveal. So I can't have this. But that's the dream.
Yeah.
But to go back to your actual question, not much. Maybe Transformers didn't have the full set reveal for some of them.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
I think there were a couple of Transformers sets where there were unknown cards when it was opened. And there was, okay, so Keyforge, which isn't...
I was about to say that. I remember when you were doing coverage on Keyforge and they didn't have all of some of those like shifted cards.
It was really interesting with Keyforge. So the second set, Age of Ascension, we did we had a tournament, like a seal tournament, obviously. And it was on the release weekend. It was at UK Games Expo, I want to say 2018. And it was literally, this is a release date, let's have a sealed tournament. We haven't revealed all of the cards yet. Mm-hmm. And it was carnage, but in the best possible way. But obviously, I was casting that. It was the only official stream they ever did in Europe for Keyforge. And I was on the casting team with Josh and Alex from FFG. Really lovely people. Alex doesn't work at FFG anymore. Josh still does. You've seen him on FFG streams. He's got big beard. Ridiculously lovely dude. Absolute sweetheart. Love Josh. Wonderful dude. And I was casting with them, but they had to send me the set in advance so I could actually know what the cards did. So like 2 weeks before the release, they sent me, you know, just full files of every card in the set with like, you know, sign an NDA, super strict, do not share these because you're going to ruin the tournament if you share these. And that was really exciting because, you know, you're being let into this secret club of people who know what the cards do. Because a lot of the official websites do, like One Piece, Battle Spirit Saga is another game I really enjoy at the moment. Digimon, all these sites have a full list of cards put up before the release day. So Lorcana could literally just drop a gallery of every card like a week before GenCon, which is something that a lot of card companies do. But that's one of the interesting things with Lorcana. We're dealing with Ravensburger. We don't know how Ravensburger work. Like when One Piece is launching, I can look at that and go, we saw what Bandai did with Digimon, a Japanese card game that got brought over here and translated. And they actually, one thing the Bandai have done really interestingly, with One Piece, they followed exactly what they did with Digimon, almost to a T. So we can start predicting this stuff. You know, even with Transformers, well, it's still Wizards of the Coast, so that we had some historical data there. We have no idea what Ravensburger are going to do.
Since this is Ravensburger's first foray into trading card games, I do suspect it will not be very much like Bandai, because you're right. I remember the Digimon release. I play One Piece. They mimicked themselves identically in terms of announcements, release, etc. So moving forward with Bandai stuff, you can kind of guess what's about to happen. Ravensburger? Oh no, there's no way, because set 2 could be completely different, and they learned what they did and didn't like from the first launch, and then they adapt and evolve. So it's going to be an interesting pace as we go along.
For anyone listening that isn't familiar with card games, we will get this. Like, there will come a point where we settle into a nice routine and we know when the announcements are coming, we know roughly what things are going to look like, and there is going to be a nice regular cadence. But we are clearly not there yet, and it's kind of fun. But as someone who covers the game, it's kind of frustrating because I've not made many Lorcana videos lately because all the Lorcana news has just been, hey, there's another new card revealed. And that's all we've really seen. So it's, from a content creator standpoint, it's a little frustrating. But if I take the content creator out of it and just go back to being a card game fan, this is really interesting.
Yes, I agree. And I'm suspicious that we're at the point where Ravensburger is just going to let us crack open packs and discover things on our own. I don't think they're going to reveal everything at this point, because they probably would have. They're definitely piecemealing things out with events, content creators. There's going to be a week-long thing with thegamer.com. They've already announced that for next week. So there's a wide range of stuff in the pipeline, but I still don't think that's going to cover. I think there's 80 something cards left in 2 weeks. There's no way. That'd be 40 cards per week. That's nuts.
No, it would have to be just a big dump. I mean, the thing is, and I think you can look at things like Pokemon and Bandai, these companies that own, even Wizards, that have been doing it for a very long time. They use every opportunity to build hype. So they're always, so One Piece will kind of like be, hey, here's the first secret rare leader from the new set. And then a couple of days later, they're like, hey, here's a couple of other secret rares. And then they're like, hey, here's the special rares. And they use all of these things as an excuse to have a regular news cycle running up to the release of a new set. And, as a content creator, it's fantastic for me because it gives me nice regular content. And again, I can only speak of my experience of other card games, and Ravensburger, clearly, they know what they're doing with this game more than I do. So just as a caveat, they have a lot more information than I do. They know what their plans are. I don't. All I'm doing is comparing to other games, and that's clearly not what they want to do right now. But what I will say is, I see, let's say, for instance, if they drop they drop it tomorrow and they're like, here is a full art card. Here's the first ever full art card. I can make a video about that, and that video is going to get 5,000 to 10,000 views, which for Wossy Plays is a good number, and that's going to bring a lot of eyes over, including people that have not got pre-orders on the set.
Mm-hmm.
And then they could do another thing, whether it's another type of secret rare or whatever it is, and then I could do that, and there would be a constant cadence of videos, and I'm selfish, right? Obviously, I want the videos to kind of push my channel, but I can kind of track hype for a card game through my videos in a weird kind of way. And I'm not seeing that kind of... Lorcana is getting a lot of hype amongst the people that are excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
But the general conversation around card games, I think at the moment Lorcana's being a little bit left out. because there hasn't really been any news since they got sued by Upper Deck. That was the last piece of actual news.
Yeah, okay.
There's been no significant, so like they said, there's been a bunch of new cards revealed, but they haven't revealed any new products. They haven't revealed a new rarity. They haven't revealed any, concrete information about organized play beyond what they did before. Like what I would consider to be big news topics, ones that I see and I'm like, oh, mate, that's going to make a good video. They haven't done any of that really since the Upper Deck news came out, which was, to be fair, very, very big news. Whereas if we look at a card, like One Piece, for instance, a couple of days ago, they showed off, hey, here's our new starter deck. It's very different to our other starter decks. Here's how it's different. They've got a promo, which is coming in a magazine, which they've gone and revealed. They went and showed off a bunch of promos they're going to be giving out at an event. And a couple of events, actually. They did a little showcase at Anime Expo for some of their products, showing things we hadn't seen before, etc., etc. There's been like a real regular cadence. I lied. There was one piece of Lorcana news, exactly one piece, and that was the Musketeer Goofy promo. That was legit news, but that's the only thing since the Upper Deck news. And even that was over 2 weeks ago.
Interesting. So as a content creator who is in the Lorcana space, card singular reveals don't necessarily constitute for you a video. It's got to be something unique to the Lorcana space. So like what makes you look for something that would create a new video? Is it like a new keyword, a new product, a new, what would create your interest in putting the time and effort into creating a video? Because I find that fascinating, since everyone inside the community is just like, new card reveal, new card reveal, new card reveal. It's like, you're right. The people who are inside of Lorcana are the ones who are going to buy it. And so we're talking about this stuff all the time amongst ourselves, but you're definitely in a different position where you're on like the middle ground. You're going to play Lorcana, but you're also covering other things like Pokemon, One Piece, so on and so forth. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
I mean, I just want to make clear, I am also that person sitting and being like, oh, there's a new card being revealed. So I'm getting hyped about every card reveal. For me, there has to be a hook. So I taught law and business before I quit to be a content creator. I spent 13 years as a professional teacher. Like I'm not some like young dude who kind of just came into content creation. I'm old. I'm almost 38. I'm 38 in a couple of months. I had like a full on teaching career, and then quit to do content creation. I've been here for a while in both spheres. So for me, like I did when the pandemic hit, and so I was doing, so I promise you I'm getting to a point. So I was doing supply teaching at the time. So I was kind of doing I was doing content creation with a bit of teaching to tide it over. And then in October 2020, we had the second lockdown in the UK and the schools closed. And you don't need supply teachers when the schools close. So my supply teaching completely dried up, and I went, right, this is my full-time job now. And I just started treating content creation as my full-time job. And one of the things I did on both my channels was I sat down and I actually started really analyzing what I do on my channel. What does well, what doesn't do well, etc. And what it really comes down to is a hook. And some hooks are better than others. So if we take One Piece as an example, people love leaders because it's a game where you build around your leaders. There's only like 6 to 8 in a set. So when new leaders come out, that's a big deal. That's a hook that I can build a video around. People will watch that. If there is a card which is particularly powerful, or a card with a new mechanic, especially new mechanic in a long-standing game, these things, like there was the anniversary book, they revealed the 2 promos for that. Yes, one of them is a Kaido, where basically pretty early on in the game, he becomes literally invincible and can't be KO'd. That's a really interesting card. That's a hook. And I can do that with One Piece pretty well. The thing with Lorcana is I found if there's new products revealed, people love that. Proper news like organized play, etc., that's okay. Obviously, them getting sued was a pretty good video people were very interested in. But just, here's a bunch of new cards. People aren't really buying into that so much. Those videos don't do so well. And I want to make those videos, but by the same token, I've got to be kind of selective in that's going to do half as well as literally as an equivalent One Piece video, which I could do. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there's necessarily much of a hook there. Like the other day, they revealed the Ariel and
Sebastian.
Thank you. I could not remember that crap's name for a second. And they both had the really interesting sing mechanic. And I know we've seen the sing mechanic before, but I mean, both of them, both coming from The Little Mermaid, that was a really kind of cool pair of reveals. But I don't know how I could have sold that as a really interesting video, despite how invested I was. And the thing is, it's awkward when a new game's coming out and all these cards are being shown, because when we get to set 2 and set 3, there will be a new mechanic, and it will be the only new mechanic in a set, and that'll be a big deal. And
That'll
that's a
be
really
the
easy hook. Whereas for an opening set like this, because everything's kind of new, and there's a lot of cards coming out in quick succession, it's harder to find that. If that makes any sense, it's harder to find what the interesting news is. And actually, the people like you and I who have pre-ordered it, who are super excited, who are going to be playing it, and who are properly locked in, are really excited about these card reveals coming up every day. But you don't need to watch my video about the card reveal because you are as locked in as I am.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm looking for is the videos where people like you and I are going to go, oh, I wonder if Wossy agrees with me on this card. But then there's also a bunch of casual fans or people that aren't even really that interested in Lorcana who are going to look at that and go, oh, that's the first Lorcana full art they've ever shown. That's kind of cool.
Oh, man, this is just a masterclass on content creation. You're a genius.
I've been doing this a long time. It took me a very long time to get to this stage. Like the other day, I had the 10-year anniversary of PTCG Radio, which sounds like a really big. It sounds like a big deal, right? 3 of those years don't count because I wasn't really doing anything and I had no idea what I'm doing.
Shh! Don't tell anyone. Don't tell them. They don't need to know. 10 years. You did great. A decade.
But I've only been doing it it's only been 3 years. It's kind of been my full-time gig. So, you learn these things kind of after a while. It's like I don't do many deck list videos. And it's not because I love doing deck list videos. But there are like 50 people for every game doing deck list videos. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to do a deck list video, and I do, and for One Piece I actually do more than any other game. If I'm going to be doing a deck list video, there's got to be a reason for it. So one thing I like doing with One Piece, set comes out in Japan. There are 6 leaders. I try as fast as I can to find decks that have won tournaments for each of those leaders because people are interested in seeing the first draft of a winning list for that leader. By the time the set's released in English, you aren't seeing me make deck list videos because everybody has seen the Japanese list, everyone's seen the English list, everyone's testing it themselves, and there's 50 other content creators showing you what OPO 3 just came out. I didn't make a Rob Lucci video. There's 50 other people that did. So why waste my time doing a video that everyone else is doing? But OPO 4 comes out and, Vivi starts winning little tournaments over in Japan. I'm getting that video out as fast as I can, the first time I see a winning list. And there aren't that many videos about that deck. And all of a sudden that video's kind of got a bit of a chance to actually do quite well. And it does do quite well. But it needs to be essentially, it needs to be something that you're not just going to find elsewhere that people are going to be interested in.
Absolutely fascinating. But it is true. You're not really wanting to fight uphill against the same content everyone else is making. You want to have something unique, something that, like you said, has a hook. And for the amount of time you're spending to produce quality content, you want it to perform well, not just kind of, float in the wind with everybody else's identical content.
So I went to my daughter's sports day the other day. She's 5. It was her first sports day. And there was a parents' race. And all the dads came down. There were literally so many dads, they couldn't fit on the starting line. The race was obviously won by one of those dads who's actually in phenomenal shape. There's always a couple. And there were like 2 people that tripped over on the starting line and looked like idiots. I didn't enter that race because there is nothing to gain and it's not worth my time doing so. As soon as you see a couple people who are actually in shape going to the starting line, give up. You ain't winning that race. Don't even try. Whereas my wife goes to the mum's race and there's like 8 people there and maybe 1 like real in shape person. And my wife comes like 2nd or 3rd in that race and looks really good. So that's a race worth entering. Just like that with my content.
So how long did it take you to find that understanding of maybe instead of trying to do the same thing everyone else is doing, you can set yourself up for success by finding the hook, finding the content, finding that item that will grab people's attention, but isn't oversaturated in that game's content marketplace.
Oh, mate, how long you got? So my whole journey started in 2012. And it was really simple. In 2012, I discovered podcasts. And you've got to bear in mind, we're going back a few years now. 2012 was not everyone's got a smartphone with podcasts loaded on. Like, I listened to a bunch of podcasts that I burned onto reburnable CDs because MP3s were kind of, not everyone had an MP3 player back then. This was kind of early days of this kind of stuff. And a lot of podcasts were just starting. So I find a movie podcast and an American football podcast and a comedy podcast. And I look for a Pokemon TCG podcast. Doesn't exist. There have been a couple over the years. They've had 1 or 2 episodes and gone away. There literally was not a Pokemon TCG podcast. So I figured, all right, then if no one else is doing it, I'll have a go. And I had a housemate who made videos for her university. I nicked her headset, and I listened back to it a couple months ago. It was horrendous. It's really, not being humble, it was terrible. I spoke too fast. I was mumbly. It was pretty incoherent. It was garbage. But this is how we learn. And, I think quite a lot. Like, if I go back to 2012, if I look and I find a long-running Pokemon TCG podcast, do I do any of this? The answer might be no. So I started doing a podcast in 2012, and there's literally no competition. I don't really do it anymore. There's 15, 20 Pokemon TCG podcasts now. No idea if any of them know who started it all, which is a little bit sad. But I promise you, I was literally the first regular Pokemon TCG podcast. And then I go on with the YouTube, and I started it in 2013, let's say 10 years ago. I have no idea what I'm doing. I upload the podcast there. I do a few gameplay videos on PTCGO. I don't really have any idea what I'm doing. And then in 2015, I start kind of doing a bit of news and a bit of that. I don't really know what I'm doing. And then the big one was back in 2016. So sorry for anyone that's not really into Pokemon. But in 2016, a Japanese player, Shintaro Ito, won the World Championships with Mega Ordino.
Oh, I remember this one.
Mega Ordino had literally, I'm not exaggerating, literally no notable finishes before or after the World Championships. If you go onto Limitless, which is a really good website for tracking this stuff for Pokemon, there are 2 finishes for Mega Ordino in the history of that deck. First at Worlds 2016, 22nd at Worlds 2016. It never did anything other than that. So we had this thing where and they do at the Pokemon World Championships, they save the final for Sunday. So we go into Sunday knowing what the final is. We've got plenty of time to think about it. And I realized that everyone's confused about this Mega Ordino deck. They don't know why it's doing so well. I am obsessed with this game. Spend way too much time. I know why it's doing so well. So I make 2 versions of a video. Very, very similar. I'm not wasting a lot of time. The beginning and end's a bit different. And the video, one of them is how Mega Ordino won the World Championships. And the other one is how Mega Ordino almost won the World Championships. And I get both these videos made, and I sit down to watch the final. And here's the thing. This is how naive I was. I didn't realize you could upload both videos and just click publish on the one you wanted. I didn't know that was an option, which in hindsight is very stupid. So I start upload because the matchup was like 80-20 at worst. It was a great matchup in the final. It had to go very wrong to lose. So I assume it's going to win. I start uploading the How It Won World video, thinking if it starts losing, I'll just cancel and upload the other one instead. The second the World Championships final ended, I click publish. And that is the first video I ever made that really took off. Because Mega Ordino wins Worlds. Everyone's and it only is 6 turns in total. The entire final was 6 turns. Everyone's confused. Everyone wants information about this deck. There is exactly 1 video out there that explains about this deck. It's mine. And then I kind of started doing this kind of stuff. And I've always been looking for what other people aren't doing. For a long time, it was card reveals for Pokemon. Now, if you go back a few years, I was cleaning up on those videos because nobody was covering card reveals. Now a card gets revealed in Japanese and there's 20 different Twitter accounts that are tweeting out translations of it. Everyone's making videos, putting it on their website. It wasn't like that if you go back to 2016. In 2016, a card was revealed in Japanese And I could, like, there were cards that I would literally see a scan of in Japanese, make a video about, and my video would be online before anyone had tweeted about it. That's impossible nowadays. So it's just kind of, a lot of it was kind of just silly ideas and dumb luck. I want to make a podcast. There isn't one. I'll do one. Hey, wouldn't it be cool to have a video the second world's ended? And it's a lot of it wasn't necessarily sitting down and kind of working it out. It was just, it's a cool idea that took off. And now I'm a lot more conscious of this. And I do pay a lot of attention to which videos do well, which don't do as well, and trying to kind of essentially listen. Because a lot of people are like, you're trying to farm views. And I'm like, no. The videos that are viewed more often are the videos my fans want to watch. I hate saying that. They're the videos they want to watch more. Why would I not focus on those videos?
Mm-hmm.
That was a very, very long answer to a very simple question, but hopefully it got the gist.
I mean, that what you said is packed with so much knowledge and so much value. I could listen to you talk for 20 minutes answering that question, because there is a lot for the content creator to unpack. There's metrics, there's marketing, there's SEO, there's just an infinite amount of potential things. And so hearing people who've done this longer, who are successful, who are established, is good, because that gives us more tools to work with when we are trying to create content for our viewers, because our viewers will tell us what they want. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's very, very easy if you're listening.
But sometimes they'll tell you badly. So like I'll do, one video, and I love doing these videos, I'll be honest with you. I do them for One Piece, I do it for Pokemon. The pre-release happens and I make a video saying, basically, don't buy singles, you're getting ripped off at this point. And I've done a bunch of them for Pokemon, I've done a bunch for One Piece, and every time I make that video, and it's not the same video recycled, I'm looking at data, I'm looking at prices, it takes time and effort. These aren't videos I'm knocking out in 5 minutes. It's taking time and effort. I'm digging into the prices. I'm looking back at, the past couple of sets. These are not videos I'm kind of just doing every set exactly the same. I'm putting time and effort in, and I enjoy making these videos. But there's always a couple of smart addicts going, oh, it's okay, we get it. You don't need to make the same video again. And then I look at the views, and then I look at the like to dislike ratio, and then I look at audience retention, and I've got access to all of these numbers, and I look at the numbers and I'm like, yeah, all the numbers tell me I should have made this video and it's doing really well. And there's, a couple people in the comment section going like, oh, you're an idiot, why are you making this video? And I'm like, I've actually got access to all the data, and I hate to break it to you, but the vast majority of my audience actually want me to make these videos, and I've got loads of metrics to prove it. But there's one of the things is it's a sad reality. The more success you see as a content creator, the more abuse you will get on a literal daily basis, which is not fun, but nobody was sending me horrible messages constantly when I wasn't successful. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, maybe it's a sign I'm doing okay.
I think it is. If you listen to a lot of inspirational quotes or videos, most people will say things basically what you were saying, to the tone of, if you're not doing anything valuable, nobody cares. When you are doing something valuable, you're going to have haters. So although it sucks to have haters, ironically, it's another metric of success, because the better you do, the more people are going to try and hate you because they're, jealous, angry, whatever. But it showcases that you're definitely doing something of value, because like I said, if you're not doing anything valuable, nobody cares. Nobody hates you because you aren't providing anything worth hating.
One of the weird things about YouTube is there's a weird thing that happens when you start kind of seeing a little bit of an uptick. You will start seeing more dislikes. You're not talking a little bit, but you'll go from 99, 100% likes on every video down to like 96 to 98%. The dislikes will start creeping in. If you're going down to 80% likes, that's a big problem. You've done something wrong. But yeah. I almost never have. Most of my videos are 96 to 98% likes and 2 to 4% dislikes. And the reason for that is my videos find people who aren't interested, which is a weird thing to be happy about. But when your channel's really, really small, it only goes to people who are kind of, into what you're doing, so you don't get any dislikes. When the dislikes start creeping up, it's basically a sign that your video is hitting the algorithm and finding its way to new audiences, some of whom aren't actually into what you're doing. But that's actually a good thing because it means you're reaching a wider audience. And that uptick in dislikes is one of the early signs your YouTube channel is starting to get out there.
Yeah, it's a weird thing that it's exciting at the same time annoying, because you want to have the maximum likes and the maximum positivity. But like you're saying, you have to expand outside of your range, because like for Lorcana, if all of my content stays within only Lorcana fans, there is an absolutely clear-cut peak that I cannot surpass. So in order to grow, we have to expand out to Pokemon players, board game players, Yu-Gi-Oh players, video game players, and not all of them are going to like or care about a Disney trading card game. But the moment we start to break out of our bubble, sure, I'll take that any day of the week, because for every one person that doesn't like us, there's probably one person who does like us.
And of course, the other thing is, as content creators, one of the things we should be trying to do, we should be trying to bring new people into the game. You know, it feels so good when you start getting those messages from people being like, hey, I'd never played this game, and then I saw it on your channel, or I came across your video and I've started playing it and it's awesome. So, you know, hopefully we start getting out to those new audiences, and it's like, we're not just finding new people, we're bringing new people into the game. And let's face it, we don't make content unless we love the game. So surely that's what we should be wanting to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that come up in content creation, because some people do it for the love of the game. Some people do it for the desire to find money and fame and fortune. Some people do it because they just want to talk. So there's a lot of different reasons people jump in, but you've definitely weathered the storm over not only many years, but many thousands of views. So what would you say is a very healthy attitude to have when you're a content creator? Because we know what some of the unhealthy attitudes can and have been before, especially people who just focus purely on fame and fortune. And they're usually pretty rude. They're pretty strict. They act like they're authoritarian on a topic when they're really not. And those content creators usually fall off, or they just have their own little community. It's very small and it's on its own little island. But to be a growing, thriving, healthy creator, what do you do to help keep yourself in that, positive environment?
It's just for the love of it. Like the free tips I always give people for content creation is, you got to do it because you love it. Make the content other people aren't already making, which is what we've kind of talked about quite a lot. And make the content you would want to watch or read or listen to. Because if you don't want to watch, read, listen, no one else is going to want to. But for me, it's just about the attitude. Like, I see these card reveals, I get excited about them. I see a new game, I get hyped about it. I'm waiting by my emails, hoping that these game companies are going to get in touch. So I've been very fortunate. I've been able to get contacts and create relationships with people in most card game companies. Not Ravensburger yet. I know a few people, but I'm not kind of there. Whereas for most games that I'm into, I know people who can, send me product and give me card reveals, and it's not about the free stuff. It is about making my content better. Because, Jasco for My Hero Academia, love that game. But the last set, they sent me boxes before the pre-releases happened, which meant that the openings I were doing was just way more exciting. So it's not about kind of having it for free or any of that, although they did send it to me for free. I need to be nice and clear. It is about having the opportunity to do those openings early and be part of the hype machine, which is what I want to do. But for me, like when I roll over in the morning and kind of wake up and check my phone, as we all do, it's 2023, I'm not checking my social media or, the news or any of that. I'm checking for trading card game news. I'm looking for, for me, it's what's come out of Japan overnight. Because when I wake up, it's kind of the middle of the day in Japan. So I'm like, is there any One Piece news? Is there any Pokemon news? Has anything happened overnight I need to be aware of? Like, I look forward to Fridays because Friday is the news day for Pokemon. So at about 6 a.m., if there is news to be dropped, they'll drop it 6 a.m. UK time on a Friday morning. So when I wake up at 7, hopefully if my kids have stayed in bed, there is news and new cards. And that makes Friday one of my favorite days of the week because I love getting that news. And I look forward to making these videos and getting excited about them. And that's why, I mean, realistically, proper taking YouTube seriously 7 years now. And I'm still like ridiculously hyped and not fatigued at all, because I just genuinely, I love the games I play and I love talking about them and I love following the news. And it's just every successful content creator I've seen actually likes what they do. And everybody who's in it to try and kind of be at the center of the community or monetize or whatever, they don't last, because nobody can keep doing something they don't really like doing. It's like having a job you hate. Sooner or later, you're going to find a new job. But if it's not a job, it's content creation, you're just going to stop doing it.
Ooh, words of wisdom. Man, I thought we were going to come and talk about Lorcana, and you are just lighting me up with all of this great knowledge. And boy, I am thankful. I am very appreciative. And I know for a fact there are a lot of people who are going to listen to this and get so many nuggets of gold. And I cannot express my gratitude for just how much you're sharing with everybody. It's incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
My theory has always been, if everybody helps each other, like we all grow. Like I get so much help from so many people in all the communities I'm in. And it's just, it's fantastic. Like I've got, friends of mine who basically know everything about everything. And it's, like I've got 14,000 followers on Twitter. It's not particularly big, but it's big enough that if there is a particular promo card I am struggling to get hold of, if I send out a tweet, somebody will usually put me in touch with someone who can, help me trade for that card. And, if there's information that I need, if I tweet it out, somebody will come back and kind of share that information with me. So if I can help, I like to help, because it's not just content creation, it's everything. Nobody ever gets where they are completely alone. Like everybody's got their systems. I mean, if I was actually trying to cover all the news for all of these games and I wasn't having help consolidating the news from various places, there just wouldn't be enough hours in the day.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's no way. You can't do it alone. You have to have a network. You have to have friends. You have to have teammates, because.
But you don't have to have it all at once. Like if you're smaller content creators, shouldn't be put off being like, oh wait, I don't have this. No one has this when they start off. This is something you build up over time. Make friends with people. Be nice to people. Help people where you can. They'll help you back. And then over time, you do build up this fantastic network. So don't think, oh, I don't have this fantastic network, I can't make content. Essentially, you start and then you meet people and it all kind of comes together beautifully.
Yeah. That's a really good way of putting it. All right, so last couple Lorcana related questions, and then we're going to get on out of here. So let's talk a little bit about your favorite color in Lorcana with the inks and your favorite card. And it's not relegated to power level or meta or game changing. Just what is your favorite color and why? And what's your favorite card and why? It could just be because it looks cool, and that's totally fine.
So color, I don't have a favorite color yet. I have this weird thing, like as much as I cover TCGs obsessively, I don't really play them until they're out, because I want to see the whole card pool. I want to see everything. So I've not really honed in on a color. I tend to play quite aggressive decks in most card games. So it may well be whatever I can kind of go aggressive with is going to be something I'm kind of heading into. But in terms of favorite card, it's the Giant Tinkerbell. I forget the exact name. Here we go. Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. I love that card. It's got 2 lore when it quests, which is something I'm always looking for. And when you play it, you deal 1 damage to each opposing character. There are lots of very cool 1 health characters we've already seen that are good in support, and there will be more in the future, or 2 health characters. So Tinkerbell Giant Fairy, again, we don't have enough information to really determine how good it's going to be, but the fact that it can come in, ping a bunch of small people, and then it's really good at questing, 5 health, 2 lore when it quests, that strikes me as having everything you need for a card to be really, really good. Oh, also, when you banish another character in a challenge, you deal 2 damage to another opposing character. So it's actually really good at questing and really good at challenging, and it's got a really good coming into play skill. It seems kind of busted we'll have to see exactly how far it goes. I also just really like the thematically appropriate cards. So like we mentioned, the Ariel and the, how do I keep forgetting his name? Sebastian, that are both good at singing. That makes me happy. Ones that were revealed just the other day. So we had the Gaston, who can't quest, but has to challenge every turn if able. And then you've got Fan the Flames, which lets you ready a character, but they can't quest, which is blatantly designed for Gaston, who can't quest anyway. I kind of love that, because it's really playing in to how, and we don't need every single card to be faithful to the movies. We don't need that. But it really makes me happy when we get it. Like how in One Piece, and again, I hadn't read One Piece at the time, both the Marco cards have two of the Marco cards, and two good ones. They both have a mechanic which allows you to basically bring Marco back to life. Mm-hmm. And then you read One Piece and you're like, oh, Marco's literally got Phoenix powers. And then you look back at the Marco cards and you're like, well, obviously Marco has got this skill. That's actually really well done. So I'm really enjoying, and they're not the only ones, they're just some examples, but the ones we've seen in Lorcana so far that just seem really thematically appropriate to the properties from which they come, they make me happy.
Okay. All right. Very, very cool. Well, as we wrap this episode up, why don't you tell everybody again where they can find you, where they can get in touch with your social media, and maybe give us a hint as to an upcoming video that we might see here in a couple weeks.
So, I mean, the channel says PTCG Radio, Pokemon Trading Card Game Radio. That's on YouTube. That's the Pokemon one. That's the main one. And then you got Wossy Plays, WOSSY Plays on YouTube, which is kind of my whatever I feel like channel. In terms of social media, just the Wossy on Twitter. Not Wossy, that's Jonathan Ross. He's very famous. Every so often, someone really famous follows me on Twitter thinking I'm Jonathan Ross, and then really quickly unfollows me when they find out I am, in fact, not Jonathan Ross. It's very sad. But yeah, that's the only real social media I use properly. I know I need to get on Instagram and all of that. One day I probably will. Oh, Freds as well. I'm on Freds at the Wossy. That's might take off. You never know. I mean, in terms of upcoming videos, I don't always know what videos I'm gonna do.
Ooh, okay.
Well, my best videos generally come around from news. The big Lorcana video for me so far was when they dropped the products. So it was an IGN article. They had the reveal of all of the products, and they did. They dropped all the first chapter products in one go. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm a big Dreamcast fan. I love the Dreamcast, my favorite console. And I've got one set up in my studio at all times. And obviously, it's on a CRT, an old fat telly. And I've got a light gun, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I was playing House of the Dead 2, and I was having a good run on House of the Dead 2. I was crushing it. And then I get a Discord message from a good friend. So I pause the game and I check it, and it's a link to the IGN article. And I have to turn off my Dreamcast in the middle of my sick run on House of the Dead 2, because I know this is going to be a video that hits. And it did. It did really well. I think it's my best Lorcana video so far. And they're the kind of videos that tend to do really well. So it's awkward because we know we're going to get lots of Lorcana news coming up in the near future. There's a lot we don't know. We don't know. I'm assuming there's going to be secret rares. We don't know what they are. There's going to be alternate arts and fancy foil versions. We don't know what they are. There's going to be a lot of really cool stuff that comes out. That's what I'm excited about. What makes me really sad, most of this is going to come out at GenCon. Mm-hmm. GenCon is when I'm in Japan.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, the nature of my work, I'm not taking 2 weeks off to go to Japan. I am assuming I'm doing roughly 2 hours a night, every night, catching up with my videos, which is fine. It's part of the deal. No complaints. But I do think there are going to be some days where I get back to my hotel room 9, 10 o'clock, and I'm like, right, how many GenCon videos do I need to make? Because it's not just going to be, we know there's going to be a bunch of Lorcana stuff, but it's probably going to be big Star Wars Unlimited news, and GenCon's a good place to reveal new games.
Yep.
I know FFG have got a habit of that. There was the X-Men dice game they revealed a couple years ago, whose name completely escapes me. That was pretty cool, actually. I enjoyed that one. But yeah, that one was revealed at GenCon, so I kind of wish it wasn't happening when I was in Japan, just because the time difference is going to make breaking news really awkward.
Yeah.
But I'll be there. I don't know how the time is going to work out, but put it this way. If I cannot make the video as soon as it's revealed, then when I wake up / when I get back to the hotel room in the evening, I'll be on it. It'll happen.
All right. Well, there we go. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an amazing episode. Everybody, go check out all the socials, the notes, the show notes will have all the details there. Make sure to like and follow and subscribe because, I mean, PTCGO Radio is a lot of fun to watch. And then all of the Wossy Play stuff with Lorcana, One Piece, Digimon, anything you put out, it's well worth a view. It's well worth it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the kind words. In fact, for having me on. This was fun. Although I was just talking about me for like an hour, so it's, pretty vain.
That's kind of what happens when, you're a guest as an interview. You're supposed to talk about yourself.